persuasive speech for speech class over euthanasia. And this is my speech, and this is my visual aid on this computer. The complicated processes and ideals involving euthanasia have experienced a strong evolution from their origins in the powerful hands of doctors dating back to ancient Greece and Rome. Stemming from a society that was casually tolerant of ideas circulating around human death and practices such as suicide, abortion, and euthanasia, euthanasia was often supported on the premise of ending extreme pain or suffering through the process of death. Eventually, euthanasia modeled itself into a highly technical, safe practice it is today that can be provided in controlled environments and allows sufferers of terminal illness to experience a peaceful death and stay in control of their life and their body. It is ethically and legally right for humans to have the choice of having doctor-assisted suicide. Euthanasia is a legal and ethical right of human beings in the sense that terminally ill human beings have the right of possession of their physical body and their mental person. For example, in the United States, after slavery was ended in America with the 13th Amendment, all humans in America were the sole owners of their body and are therefore in complete control of whatever they choose to do with their life and however they choose to treat their body. In an ethical interpretation of the 13th Amendment, a person has complete possession of their mind and person as well as including their feelings surrounding life and death. For some people, that includes being in control of how their life ends, with the average percent of terminally ill people who die in pain being around 55%, which is one of the stats on my visual aid. A person should be able to have access to euthanasia so they can exercise and preserve their fundamental human rights that come with being alive as a human being, if they want to. Euthanasia provides an option for terminally sick people to have a sense of peace in the control and choice in the suffering at the end of their life. Another important reason that euthanasia should be legally available worldwide is to the terminally ill is because of specific points in the Hippocratic Oath, which is like a doctor's oath that you have to take when you first become a doctor, basically saying that you will never do any harm to any of your patients. For example, euthanizing someone who willingly wants to leave any type of horrendous or awful pain caused by dying of like a specific fatal illness like cancer, the doctor is upholding the Hippocratic Oath. Physicians should be able to have complete access to full ranges of medical care so that all doctors can provide the best quality service and care to their patients' needs and desires. A person has the right to not only be not forced into suffering by making the practice of doctor-assisted suicide illegal, humans should not be forced into any type of painful death that they do not want to have. Without euthanasia, a physician could possibly disobey their Hippocratic Oath through passive inaction if a terminally ill person requests to end their life in order to end their severe suffering. Another way that doctor-assisted suicide has many significant uses that help protect the quality of life and rights of fatally ill patients around the world. Unfortunately, there are a couple of flaws that come with euthanasia, which I think are the main problems of why euthanasia isn't legal everywhere. One of the crucial problems with euthanasia is that without strict requirements and laws, like euthanasia can lead to abuses in medical ethics, so it's really, really important that like any hospitals that do practice euthanasia right now, that they have a lot of laws and like safeguards and things to prevent like, for example, if somebody was to be like killed against their will, because like with euthanasia that is a definite possibility. So stemming off of euthanasia's main morals, another problem is that with physician-assisted suicide is that it's technically cheaper than palliative healthcare. Palliative healthcare is like the care you take of someone when they're dying. It's like end-of-life care, and so like technically like killing somebody is less money than it is to take care of something. But besides this truth and truth, all countries and states that practice euthanasia, Oregon, for example, practices euthanasia, and so does the Netherlands, have like rigid laws and insurance practices and lots of other safeguards and rules to ensure that a terminally ill person isn't like forced into euthanasia due to lack of funding or like stress from their family or anything like that. Like it's very important with euthanasia that like the person is in control. Like you have to put a lot of forms, it takes a really long time. So it's not like people are just being like killed off because they're old or useless. Like it's actually like a really like carefully thought out process, which is like a big conception that a lot of people have about euthanasia, which is I think a big problem to why it's not legal. Despite most humans being legally guaranteed the right of complete authority and command of their own body, there are legal safeguards like the ones I just mentioned. While doctor-assisted suicide can be an uncomfortable subject to think about and apply to our own lives and the people around us, it is extremely important to validate and recognize euthanasia as a necessary option and right to have available for those who wish to die painlessly in peace. Already around the world, we have 54% of medical practitioners supporting euthanasia, which is another stat on my visual aid. And with this newly gained knowledge about the reality of euthanasia, it's important that I hope what you guys have learned from my presentation is that we need to respect other people's right to control their own lives. Although we can't have much impact on the practice itself, we can respect and try to understand our ill families or friends' choices if they do want to consider euthanasia. While euthanasia does potentially open the door for abuses of money and power within the hands of a physician, the benefit and overall protection of a person's liberty to make choices surrounding their own legal and social well-being in life and death outweighs the easily controllable dangers of legalizing euthanasia. And then also on my thing, I have a picture of the words choice and the picture of somebody holding someone who's older's hand to show that like while euthanasia we think of it as like something really scary that like involves death and like a lot of other uncomfortable things, in reality it could be the better things for one of your loved ones by giving them the choice to end their suffering if they want to. Like euthanasia is all about choice. It's not about like killing people. You have to think about the person who's being harmed rather than like your own personal feelings. Thank you, that's my speech.